I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Kari Lake was just hit with a defamation lawsuit filed by the Maricopa County Recorder, Stephen Richer, who is fed up and has had enough of Kari Lake continuing to defame him. Stephen Richer, as the Maricopa County Recorder, oversees the Maricopa County election process. He is a Republican, the same way the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is run by Republicans. And Stephen Richer says in the statement in connection with the filing of this defamation lawsuit against Kari Lake that he hoped that he didn't have to file this lawsuit, but every single day, essentially, Kari Lake would defame him and lie about him. Kari Lake, who's made this her grift of just lying about the 2022 elections, lying about the 2020 elections, and of course, Kari Lake, who lost the Arizona gubernatorial election, she's the MAGA Republican candidate, then lost all of these lawsuits over and over and over again. Some of her lawyers were even sanctioned for bringing these lawsuits, yet she keeps on lying and keeps on defaming Stephen Richer. And finally, Richard's like, enough. I'm holding her accountable. I have to sue. I have no other option at this point. And I think one other important lesson here, and I'll go through the lawsuit with you and I'll go through Richard's statement, is Richard's a Republican. As I mentioned, the county board of supervisors in Maricopa County, Republicans. This modern day Kari Lake, Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, that's not normal Republican behavior. It is a new form of MAGA Republican that's controlling the Republican Party, and it is against democracy. It is for these defamatory statements, and just they spend their whole day talking about whining about losing elections and claiming that it's rigged when it's not, instead of focusing on issues that matter to people. Well, here's what Stephen Richer said in his statement. He goes, I'm suing Kari Lake. I'd hoped the defamation would stop after the election. I waited. I hoped it would stop after the first election trial. I waited. I'd hoped it would stop after the appeal. I waited. I hoped it would stop after the second trial. I waited. I'd hoped it would stop after she got a new job. I waited. But then I realized I am the job. Defaming me is her path to campaign donations, speaking opportunities, and national trips. I live a very lucky, wonderful life, but these defamatory statements have altered my life for the worse materially. And just because I live a great life doesn't mean I have to sit back while somebody says false things about me and says I did truly horrible things, things that multiple courts found to be false. I wish it would have stopped on its own, but it didn't. So today I'm suing Kari Lake to hopefully put an end to the false statements. Then he thanks the Washington Post for a write-up about the lawsuit. It is the first interview I've given on this and is the only one I'm going to give today. Here's the lawsuit right here. It's filed in the Superior Court for the state of Arizona, Maricopa County. Here's the complaint. Now comes plaintiff Stephen Richer for his complaint against defendant Kari Lake for Arizona. Kari Lake for Arizona, and Save Arizona Fund, Inc., the Kari Lake Fund, and hereby alleges as follows. Defendant Kari Lake lost the November 2022 gubernatorial election. Instead of accepting defeat, Lake, together with her campaign and a fundraising entity she controls, accused plaintiff Stephen Richer of intentionally sabotaging the election. Defendants knew or recklessly disregarded the falsity of those accusations. Courts at every level of the Arizona judiciary have concluded that defendants have no evidence to support their wild claims, but defendants continue to spread these egregious and harmful falsities to further their own agendas and line their own pockets at Richer's expense. As a result, pull it back up. As a result of defendants' knowing and malicious falsehoods, Richer and his family have been the target of threats of violence and even death and have had their lives turned upside down. Defendants, like all Americans, have a right to free speech, and that freedom extends to expressing views and opinions that others find distasteful or offensive, and to criticizing the government. Defendants have made many statements since the election, including statements about Richer that are protected by the Arizona and U.S. Constitution. Richer might vehemently disagree with defendants regarding many of these statements, but he recognizes their right to express them. But there is no constitutional right to spread intentional or reckless falsehoods that cause harm to another person. Richer brings this case to hold defendants accountable for such falsehoods and to obtain redress for the harm done to him and to his family. And then in the factual allegations, the complaint goes on to list all of the defamatory statements and defamatory agenda of Kari Lake and her related organizations. Goes on to say, since November 2022, defendants have repeatedly and falsely accused Richer of causing Lake's electoral defeat, including by claiming that Richer, a registered Republican, sabotaged the election to prevent Republican candidates, including Lake, from winning. In particular, defendants have repeatedly and falsely claimed at in-person rallies and speeches and on podcasts and social media that Richer, one, intentionally printed 19-inch images on a 20-inch ballots to sabotage the 2022 Arizona general election, ballot sabotage claim, and two, inserted 300,000 illegal, invalid, phony, and or bogus early vote ballots into the Maricopa County vote count, the bogus ballot injection. Lake's January 29, 2023 Save Arizona rally provides one clear example of Lake falsely and with actual malice accusing Richer of both the ballot size sabotage and the bogus ballot injection. Numerous additional examples are provided below. See paragraphs 25 through 102, which literally lists almost every single day of the year that Kari Lake has defamed. I'm not going to go through it all, but every single date there's like a defamatory statement. During the rally, Lake falsely and with actual malice accused Richer of sabotaging the 2020 general election by misprinting election ballots. Lake told the assembled crowd that, quote, Richer and Maricopa County Supervisor Bill Gates printed a 19-inch image, the wrong image on the ballot, so that the tabulators would jam all day long. That's exactly what happened. They did not want us to notice this. They didn't want us to notice it. You know who they want. You know, the only thing they wanted to notice this was the tabulators, so they would jam and spit out ballots, which is exactly what happened all day on election day. And Richer and Gates, let's show those two again, these two men. These two men, we pay their salary. We, the people, pay their salary. We pay for our elections. Lake made false accusations repeatedly. At the same rally, Lake told the crowd Richer and Gates, quote, intentionally printed the wrong image on the ballot on election day so that those ballots would intentionally be spit out by the tabulators. Well, these guys are really, really terrible at running elections, but I found out they're really good at lying. During the rally, Lake also accused Richer of the bogus ballot injection, falsely claiming that he was responsible for injecting 300,000 unlawful early voting ballots into the Maricopa County Election Day vote count. Lake stated, we know that 300,000 illegal ballots were counted in the final Election Day tally. Lake made the false and defamatory ballot size sabotage and bogus ballot injection claims, while photographs of Richer and Gates were prominently displayed behind her, and she pointed to those photographs repeatedly while speaking. Lake made the false ballot size sabotage and bogus ballot injection accusations against Richer weeks after the Arizona Superior Court found that Lake had provided nothing more than speculation and conjecture to support her claims of intentional misconduct, and that she had, quote, brought no evidence to contradict testimony that the 2022 election was conducted in accordance with established procedures. For that reason, as well as many others, Lake knew that her ballot size sabotage and bogus ballot injection claims were false before the January 29, 2023 rally, or at a minimum, she was reckless as to the truth or falsity of these claims. And then the lawsuit goes on to mention like each date of when this was happening. December 24, 2022, February 16, 2023, March 22, 2023, a January 29 tweet, August 16, 2023, a January 29th post on Truth Social, a June 16, 2023, January 29th Getter post, a June 17, 2023, January 29th tweet, June 16, 2023 tweet, press conference on January 30th, speech. It goes on and on and on to list all of the times that she defamed him. And it's like dozens and dozens and dozens of times where she knowingly or with a reckless disregard, it's alleged, made these defamatory statements right here. And of course, how is right-wing media responding to this, right? This is a clear-cut lawsuit, defamatory, and this is the Gateway Pundit, which is a right-wing, whatever you want, media outlet or whatever goes. Rhino Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer files defamation lawsuit against Kari Lake. Lawsuit backed by George Soros-tied Protect Democracy Project. Okay, I want you to think how sick that response is. At the end of the day, court after court, Republican judges, Republican Board of Supervisors, Republican controller, Maricopa County Republican supervisors. I mean, these are all Republican Court of Appeals. Everyone here is a Republican. Every single person, Maricopa County Republican recorder. And here you have, okay, that now he's a rhino because he's telling the truth. And it's backed by George Soros now. So, which is just, their anti-Semitic dog whistle. And that's how they reported on the right wing. And that's why I always say, look, this pro-democracy coalition, okay, you should welcome former Republicans, conservatives, independents, people not affiliated with political parties, liberals and progressives. Let's all get together. We can disagree on issues, but fundamentally the truth matters. Decency, humanity, compassion, intelligence, law and order matters. And this absurd, dangerous craziness, George Soros-backed rhino, he's a Republican. The Board of Supervisors, they're Republicans. They're all Republicans. And Donald Trump and Kari Lake, they couldn't prove it to a court. They can't show any evidence, but they have all the secret answers. It's utterly ridiculous, folks. I'm glad, though, Stephen Richer has filed this lawsuit, is holding Kari Lake accountable. Would love to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments below. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. And wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Have an excellent day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.